Hello, everybody. I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, and let's mull over Nier Automata. In this series, I give my first impressions and overall thoughts about a game, and let's get right on into it. And now you may be asking, Jmulls, this is your favorite game of all time. No way you're gonna sit up there on your pedestal in a YouTube video telling us how this is your first impressions of Nier Automata. Well, it is my favorite game of all time, and I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about it in my series. Nier Automata is my favorite game of all time. I love it, and I love it unconditionally. And I think that now is as good a time as any to talk about the quality of Nier Automata and why the game worked so well when we're on the cusp of a few things possibly happening this year. We have stellarblade coming up, which was a game designed by at least the same development studio as Nikkei, from my knowledge. Or to my knowledge, which is taking clear inspiration from Nier Automata, even admittedly so, and I think that game has a lot of potential. So, before we hop into stellarblade eventually with the demo and the eventual release, let's take a minute to analyze why Nier Automata works so well. Because who knows? Maybe we get another Nier game announcement later this year. It's possible. Nier Reincarnation is going out the window, which leaves room for another mainline entry that I'm pretty sure they have talked about. So, before all this happens, what made Nier Automata so special to me? And for me, it's really simple. I have never played a game that is intertwined narrative, storytelling, and just plot unravelment through the gameplay and through the unique mechanisms available to it because it's a video game as well as Nier Automata did. I don't think there's another game out there that I've played or experienced personally that utilizes the medium of being a video game to its fullest advantage to tell a cohesive, enthralling, engaging story like Nier Automata did. And one of the beautiful things about Nier Automata is that it's a follow-up. Yeah, there's another game in this series called Nier Replicant. Actually, there's also Drakengard. We're gonna focus on Nier for now. But when I played Automata way back in the day on the PS4, I didn't play or have much knowledge of, if any, about Replicant/Gestalt, which was the Western release version for Replicant back in the day. And that's what makes Automata so special, in my opinion. One of the hallmarks of a great game is that it's able to be new player friendly and give you different questions that you're gonna ask yourself and ask of the game as you progress through the experience than someone who had played Replicant before, who will ask different questions. But you'll get satisfying answers or revelations in an interesting and fun time either way. And that's a great idea, because it makes it engaging for a veteran, but it also makes it new player friendly and also engrossing for someone who was like me, who was new. And that's just like a drop in the bucket of all the things that I think Nier Automata does so well. Another thing that I love about it is just the overall world, which I don't think gets talked about enough. And this was one of the biggest points of comparison when it came to stellarblade with its recent trailers and all that, is just how similar these two are aesthetically. This post-apocalyptic barren landscape of a seeming Earth that just time forgot, populated by like this alien menace. And you fight as part of the resistance, having to go back to Earth and reclaim it for humanity, whatever the cost. And throughout your adventures, you'll experience some kind of existential questions that you need to have answered throughout your journey. It's something about that post-apocalyptic ruined landscape, where Earth is like invaded by these alien entities. In Automata's case, it's the alien machines, and in stellarblade's case, it's whatever those giant worm things are, which look cool. But I love the aesthetic of ruined humanity's structures and locations that used to be populated being essentially reclaimed by nature. You have that entire apartment complex and borderline city out in the desert being buried and buried, continuously so, into the dunes of the desert sands. You have the ruins of the city in, well, the main hub, where nature is slowly reclaiming. Walls are being torn down just out of decay. Moss and grass and giant trees are emerging and all that. And 9S and 2B even make a point to talk about the birds that are there as well. Now, essentially, there's an entire theme here about Earth reclaiming what was once lost. The flooded city as well. I love this post-apocalyptic landscape and just seeing what is in the context of the game ancient history, but to us would be like modern day, being languished away and reclaimed by nature as you explore these old footfalls that humanity once treaded, trying to answer these existential questions about what it means to be alive and are you really even a person. There's something about that I just find truly and utterly enrapturing, and I love it so much. Also, both games have a hard MC. I mean, like, let's be fair here, yeah. Look, there's a lot of parallels here. And I think one of the special things about Nier Automata's world is just how big and vast it may seem on the surface, but how easy to navigate it largely is. It's not that big of a game world. It's not going to be like an Elden Ring or a Xenoblade X or whatever. It's not a big game world, but it's condensed, filled with things to do and filled with memorable locations and NPCs and just little stories that happen. And all the while, as you customize your character and upgrade and level up through the game, it becomes more fun to navigate the world as you get fast travel or even faster movement speed chips, or far more evade range chips as well, so you evade in a really long distance. It's great. It's simple, but it's great. And with each zone theme being so good, so just atmospheric. That's what this game really is at the end of the day. It's totally atmospheric and immersive. And it doesn't shy away from being a video game. It utilizes the side quests that you may or may not do to fill in certain blanks about the world, or to foreshadow, or to tease, or to just ask you more questions that will linger in the back of your mind that the main story will pick up on later down the line. It's tremendous world building because it's based around the idea of player agency, that you may or may not go off on these quests and they may or may not be more than you bargained for. And they may fill in the blanks and they may ask questions, but you don't need these questions for the main story to work, but they help a lot and they flesh out the world and build it up. And build up these locations and these NPCs and these relationships, and the dynamic between 2B and 9S, or the dynamic between the main characters and the world and certain NPCs. They may be just kind of goofy and silly and fun, or they may be haunting and chilling in hindsight, as if they're beating you over the head with foreshadowing that you just didn't pick up on originally. And it's utterly brilliant in my opinion. Nier Automata is one of the few games in my opinion that every time I come back to it, every time I give it a little bit more tender love and care, and I analyze it just a little bit deeper beneath the surface than I had originally or did before, I discover something new to appreciate about it all, even if it's something small, something that makes me feel rewarded for going back to the game time and time again, and sinking my claws and digging my teeth into this succulent course of a meal. Because it doesn't focus on just telling an amazing narrative or a great story or having great music or a beautiful world or have fun gameplay. It understands that to be as great as it is, it needed to nail all of these aspects, and it does in my opinion. The platinum combat is super fun and engaging for the characters in this game. It works so well for 2B, who feels so fast and furious, as you're ripping and tearing as if you're almost like Doom Guy, but as a hot android lady that looks like she came out of the Matrix, ripping and tearing through these machines that feel so satisfying to beat. The mechanical feedback in this game is awesome. These little finishes you can pull off make you feel like a commando, as if you're this overpowered android just pulling off a bunch of really cool stuff. And it's fun, and it's simple. I love myself a good complex game with in-depth mechanics that I have to learn, but every now and then a game like Nier Automata, where the combat is just keep it simple stupid, but there's some rudimentary and fun combinations you can learn, different weapons and different variety, different skill sets and stuff like that, and you just flow them all together. It's so good. You have 2B and A2, who work with the two-weapon system, a light attack weapon and a heavy attack weapon, and you can swap weapons to and fro depending upon what kind of skill set or moveset you want, and that's great! You combine that with the pod programs and all that, and then you have 9S, who's a hack who only has one sword. His combat's a little bit less interesting in my opinion, but you get hacking, which opens up an entire other avenue of things. Sure, just destroying things with hacking is wildly overpowered, but it breaks up the gameplay flow, makes it feel different, unique, and interesting, and specialized to him, because it tells the story through the gameplay. He's not a combat specialist, he's a scanner model. So to go out, get information, and hack into enemies, and make it feel easy. And he does do that. He can hack into them, remote control, just like take over their minds, stuff like that. It's great. And if you let yourself experiment with that kind of stuff, the hacking is really fun in my opinion. And the banter you get throughout the different quest lines between the main characters fleshes out the world and is engaging and is engrossing. And I love Route B, and I've come to love it even more than I originally did. Sure, it may be a little bit stale on a first playthrough, because it's largely you retreading the same path, but it's utterly brilliant when it comes to story in my opinion, because funnily enough, the sections you replay aren't all that long considering. They really aren't. And you get so much more context, so much more nuance to the world and to these characters and to these things that you defeat, that it makes so much more sense here because you have a foothold in the world. You know what to do. You know who these characters are. So when they try and expand on them and give you a little bit more, you're more receptive to it. At least I was. At least I was. And it makes sense because 9S is hacking these guys. So of course he would find out more because he's the one hacking them, getting into their databases, getting all this knowledge and extracting it and learning it. And when 2B and 9S split up, you get the different perspectives and it fleshes out each of these scenes and makes them better. The whole Become as God section is brilliant. Escaping the underground cult as 2B is fun and exhilarating as you rip and tear through countless machines. Or if you're 9S, you hack your way to get to 2B through various machines and you control them. And it's fun because it's a breath of fresh air for the gameplay. It's great in my opinion. I love it so much. And then you hit that point, and I dare not spoil it. You know what I mean. After Route B. Oh, dude. That's when Nier Automata went from being a really good game to me to being one of the best games of all time, and then as I thought about it more, I had more opinions about it, I played it more, it just became my favorite game of all time. And a game I can come back to time and time and time again. And despite the fact a lot of people call Nier Automata a depressing game, in my opinion, it's one of the most optimistic takes on humanity I've ever seen. Because it earns the optimism. It puts you down with so much existentialism, so much depression, so many emotions, does them in a believable manner, in a great way, and extrapolates on all of those identities in a brilliant, cohesive manner, in my opinion. So when you get that optimistic take, it feels earned, feels justified. There's a hint, an undertone, that it's not all bright and sunshine and rainbows, but that we have the chance to break out of the cycle, to try to do something new, to believe in the human condition. In my opinion, and I saw this take on Twitter years ago, Nier Automata is not just the ultimate deconstruction of the human condition, it's the ultimate reconstruction of it. Because it deconstructs the human condition and builds it all back up. It is great commentary in my opinion, told in an engaging, cohesive way, in a world filled with amazing characters, amazing set pieces and moments and gameplay, and wraps everything together with a cohesive bow. Everything works off of each other to make the overall product greater than the sum of its parts. And it's hard to pull off, but great games are born when they're able to do that. And I've been enjoying playing it on PC again. Sure, the PC port's not the best thing ever. I think it got better over the years after a major update. But I've been enjoying just seeing the world all over again, but in higher resolution. It's one of those games for me. A game I've played for years, and a game I'll play for years to come, that I just love unconditionally. Nier Automata is my favorite game of all time, and I think the medium of video games would be better off by taking a hard look at Nier Automata and why it was such a good experience. I don't want every game to be Nier Automata, but every game can learn something from Nier Automata. And there's been talk of another Nier game, I'll believe it when I see it. It has been criminally far too long without one. And yeah, you can make the argument that Nier 3 is Nier Reincarnation, the mobile gacha game, but I mean... I've heard that it got really good, and the world is really cool in Reincarnation, but I can't get past the combat. I just can't. It's not for me. It's a shame, though, that the game's going to go offline and be essentially lost media. I hope they're able to adapt that narrative at least to another actual game, in my opinion. I would love to see that. And if that does end up being the next Nier project, I would be happy. Because it's a really cool idea with the whole cage. I'd love to see a proper game made from that idea. Just retell that narrative, that story. There's so much potential there. I'd love to see it fulfilled. And we'll have to wait and see what stellarblade becomes. It looks like it has a ton of potential. It looks like it could be a really fun time. And I'm not going to go into stellarblade expecting it to be to the quality of Nier Automata, because I have Nier Automata as my favorite game of all time. It's unfair to hold any game to that standard. I'm just hoping that it can be a great, fun game by itself and be some version of what Nier Automata did so well. Because it looks really cool, and it looks like it's going to go in the directions that I hope it does, with asking these existential questions about self-identity, a reason for living and all that. These existential questions. I love when games and stories do this. So hey, I think we've mulled over Nier Automata enough for one day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making that video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe. Have a great day. Go play some video games if you can. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions on Nier Automata. Let me know your favorite part of it, your favorite aspect, your favorite component, your favorite moment, character, weapon, whatever. Just let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and to hear your perspectives. Stay safe. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.